Hi, my name's Simon Catan, and this is my second video in a series which support my game Adventures in Wonderland, which teaches command line skills. So in this video, we're going to be looking at shell scripts, how to run them, and how to create them. So the first thing you might be wondering is, what is a shell script? Well, you can think of a shell script a little bit like a program that turns your command line into something of a kind of virtual assistant. So it would take commonly common tasks that you need to do and bundle them together into a script so that you can kind of rerun them as many times as you want. So they're just kind of like files, apart from that they have an extension at the end, .sh. So these would be two examples of shell script names. The other thing to note is that inside the shell script, which we'll look at in a minute, all that's being used are the regular commands that you would use in your command line. They're just being run in a series. So actually where we normally encounter these things is when you get new software to install on the command line. Quite often you will be given a shell script, something that you'll download, and you'll need to run in order to either install the program itself or to install a series of dependencies that the program needs. So it's a really important skill to understand how to run these shell scripts so that you can install the software that you need to do your work. Okay, so let's dive right in. I've got a shell script on my desktop here called My First Script, and we're just going to look at how to run that script. So I'm going to open up my terminal, and I'm going to cd into my desktop. If you have forgotten what the command cd does, it means change directory. So I've cd'd into my desktop, and I'm going to do ls just to see what's there, and I can see two files, and one of them is called myfirstscript.sh. Now there's two ways of running this script. I'm going to show you the first way, which is a slightly simpler version. So there's a command called source, and if I type source and then I type myfirstscript.sh, I can run the program. So I'm going to press enter, and it just says, hello world, this is my very first script. Maybe we want to take a look inside at this shell script and see what the commands there, how it packages together these commands. So I could just double click on this file and open it with a regular text editor, but I'm going to use a code editor, which is a much better way of doing it. So the one that I use is called Atom, and you can find it at the site called atom.io. It's a free piece of software, and it's really good for editing code. You can use it for other languages as well. So I'm going to open this up with Atom and have a look. And in here, we see a few different things. So the command echo just means, it's a bit like print. It means print to the command line. Sleep, you can probably guess what this does. It tells the computer just to pause. And I'm telling the computer to pause for half a second. And then I've just repeated this. The other bit that is important is this whole thing at the top here, this kind of frosted out line. This is called a shebang. So it's easy to remember because there is the hash symbol and an exclamation mark, which is also known as a bang. So we've got shebang, if that makes sense. And then what we've got here is a path. So this is telling our computer a place to look. So if you remember from last video, the slash denotes the root directory, that first directory on my computer. And then we are looking in a directory called user, then inside that a subfolder called bin, and inside that a subfolder called env. And then we are specifying the language we want to use. And if you remember also from the previous video, the language that we're working in, this stuff is actually called bash. So here we have said that we want to make a bash script. that's our script and how it works. Maybe now what we could do is make our own script and run that. So I'm going to kind of copy the format. I'm going to make a new file here. And I'm going to attempt to type my shebang. So you might be struggling to find the hash key on a Mac. It's Option key and the number 3, and you get it. So remember, shebang. Then we get the root directory, and it was /user/bin/env and then bash. And now we've told the computer that this is going to be a shell script using the bash language. And I'm going to go echo. And you notice I need to put my text in some quotation marks there. So that's another thing to remember. And I'm going to say, hello, this is my second script. So we're not really going to do anything particularly impressive here. I'm going to also make it sleep. Let's make it sleep for 1 second just for a bit of variety. And I'm going to say echo, yay. Great. Okay. Maybe I'll do one more sleep there. Okay. So I'm saving this on my desktop and I'm going to call it my second script.sh. Okay. So you can do this together with me. And now if I go back to my terminal, I can try and run it. So I can go source my second script.sh. And we can see that that works. So this is one way to run shell scripts using the command source. There is a little bit of a problem with this. So for most cases, this will work. But when you use the command source, it doesn't run the script. It only runs the script within the terminal application. It can't have access to any of the system files or anything like this. So this will work mostly, but say you need to run a script to install some software, you might find that this version doesn't work. So there's another way to do it, and it's by typing dot and a / and then typing the name of your script. So I'm going to try it first with my first script. And you can see it runs. Now I'm going to try it with my second script, and hopefully if this is right, you should see something different happen. And you'll see this, permission denied. So this is a really common problem that people run into when they download shell scripts to install software. The permissions of the script are wrong. So I need to jump back to my slides to explain this, and then we'll look at what to do about it. So every file has a series of permissions attached to it on your computer. So there are 3 things that you can do with a file. You can read it, you can write to it, so change what's in its content, or you can execute it. So execute means run it like it's a program. So when you create files, they normally have read and write positions, but they don't have execute permissions as standard. So there is a system for determining what permissions a file has. And it's shown in this table here, and it's derived from binary. So it's a little bit counterintuitive, but we'll go through it now. So imagine there are 3 columns, okay? And the first column here says whether you can read something. The second column says whether you can write something. And the third column says whether you can execute something. So if all the columns are 0, you can't do anything with the file. You can't open it, you can't execute it, and you can't read it. If you want to just be able to execute it, then you go, well, nothing in the read column, nothing in the write column, but something in the execute column. And so the code 1 will make an executable file only. And then we kind of translate that into decimal numbers. And so the number 1 indicates execute only. If we want to only write to it, well, that's the code 010, because remember the middle column is the right column. Okay, now that translates into decimal as the number 2. Okay, so the number 2 denotes write-only permissions. Say we want to write and give somebody permission to write and execute a file, then we'll go for the number 3. So you can see how this works. So this goes all the way through. Now, what we want is permission to read, write, and execute the file. And in a way, this is the easiest one to remember because it's just all the numbers together. And so that's the number 7. Now, we're going to use a command called chmod, which is the command to change the permissions of a particular file. And it's going to look something like this. So we're going to put chmod, and then we're going to put in 3 numbers, and then the name of the file of the permissions that we want to change. And the reason there are 3 numbers is there's 3 types of people who access the file as far as our computer's concerned. There's the owner. So the owner might be the person who created the file, but it also might be the person who downloaded the file, for example. Then you get group permissions. So certain files, you will create groups of users who have access to this file, and they might have a different set of permissions. And the final one is others. So anybody who doesn't fall into the first 2 categories gets the other permissions. So you can imagine that normally the owner has the most rights and the group and the others have less rights. So in this case, the number 744 denotes that the owner can do everything. The owner can read, write, and execute the file. But the other 2 groups of users are only allowed to read the file. Okay, but say, for example, I made this 700, I would not be giving the group or others any kind of permission at all. They couldn't open it, and they certainly couldn't execute it. But 744 is a good configuration to use. So that's the one we're going to use. So I'm going to jump back to my terminal now, and we're going to change the permissions of my second script. So I'm going to go chmod my second script.sh. Oops, I've forgotten a really important point. We need to go 744. There we go. And now I'm going to run my second script using this alternative method that gives my script system access. And now it works. So now you know 2 ways to run a script. Let's just have a quick review of everything we've done so far. So we looked at the first way of running a script, the simple way using the command source. Then I explained how to create your own script using a shebang to specify the bash language. Then I showed you an alternative way of running a script using /. And finally, I showed you how to change the permissions of a file so that you make a script executable. Okay, so that's it. You should be ready to carry on with the Adventures in Wonderland game. See you in the next video.